Hello everyone. In this tutorial I will show you that how we can generate the JWT token and we can use that JWT token into the overall the Angular apps. So nowadays basically in my last tutorial I've covered that how we can develop the login applications and communicate with the backend applications. As a backend, I'm using the Spring Boot APIs over there, created one login related APIs, and that particular API we have communicate from the Angular. So this is a continuation tutorial of this one. In this tutorial basically we'll talk about that how can we secure the Angular application using the JWT authentication. Also we'll talk about the best practices for JWT authentication in Angular apps. So actually from the backend, like from the Spring Boot, actually whenever we are going to calling that login API, means as you have seen in my last tutorial that after clicking on the submit button in a login form, we are basically calling on the login service, and from the login service basically this do login API is return some data, and based on that we are returning into the another URL that is called the dashboard. Here we'll talk about the secure, how we can secure, because like whenever we are doing some activities from the front end or from the back end, it's actually basically we are representing some data or we are displaying some data, because we are in a response whatever the data we are getting, we need to display those information into the front end. So without data is nothing. So first point is to secure our data. So for securing the data in this tech driven world, basically hackers are everywhere. So the first point of securing the application, we need to secure our data. So considering this JWT token is provide the best security and authentication. Angular is widely used JavaScript platform. Here we are going to see how to implement authenticated routing in Angular. Also we'll talk about the managing the tokens that we will talk. So for login, as you have said, we have used any kind of things, like we are just for timing we are using we have created our custom API, that login API. Here you can see that login API. I will show you that how we are going to implement the JWT token over here, but we are just calling this do login API, and whatever the response we are receiving from over here, we are just using it. So here we'll just talk about the little bit about the JWT. What are the possibilities of storing JWT authentication token in Angular apps? Next, where can token be stored securely in Angular apps? How can we create or protect the Angular routing with stored JWT tokens? So these are the things we are going to talk in this tutorial. Now if we talked about the JWT, so JWT means it's a JSON Web Tokens. So this is basically internet standard for creating JSON based access token that assert the number of claims. We can generate JWT with custom claims. Okay, so here we are going to create the JWT token from the backend part. I will explain that how we can create the JWT token from the backend. Even if you want to understand more detail about it, that how we are going to create the JWT token from the Spring Boot API, please follow my other tutorials already available in my channel, already available those tutorials. I will share those links in the description section so that you guys can find out those tutorials before understanding about the JWT token. Now we will talk about that what are the ways to store authentication token in Angular apps. So there are basically three possibilities of storing the access token in Angular app. Like one is the in-memory storage, second is the HTML5 web storage, and the third one is the cookie storage. So in-memory storage means here in this technique a token is stored in application page itself. The only drawback is this, like data is not persistent, means when we are going to refresh the page, it will be must be retrieved from the maybe API call or maybe somewhere. HTML5 web storage, that is actually there's a two type of storage. One is the session storage, another is the local storage. Session means data stored in session. When it expire, the or maybe browser is closed, then session is basically expired. And the local storage, data basically stored in local storage doesn't basically expire until we clear the data from the browser. And the other one is the cookie storage. So now if we talked about that, where can that token, like the JWT token, basically we can store in Angular apps. So we can store data in different ways, but here should take the proper measure to protect the tokens against CSRF and the XSRF vulnerabilities. We should store token in a place that is not accessible by the attackers. So there are two possible ways. One is the local storage, another is the HTTP only cookie. Local storage means one of the best way to store the data, that is local storage. It is not vulnerable to CSRF attack, and the HTTP only cookies. With this one, additionally we can generate the token, means we need to implement the token expiration validation. Maybe we need to provide some kind of the time, like maybe after 10 minutes or after 15 minutes token will be expired. Means after 10 or 15 minutes you need to generate the new token for accessing the other feature. Then content security policies, refresh token mechanism. So these are the kind of mechanism we need to additionally follow so that we can secure our application. So now basically if we see that from the backend part, like how we have generated, I'm just giving that briefly introduction about it. But if you need more detail, please follow the channel tutorial already related to the JWT already available. JWT related tutorial, please follow this one. I hope that will clear your almost the doubt. If still you guys have any doubts regarding these JWT services, please do comment so that I will try to clear those things. So now just to implement the JWT token, basically we need to use some kind of the dependencies. Previously we have just implemented plain login application, so that's why we don't need to use any other dependencies. But now as we are going to implement the JWT token, so that's why we need to use this Spring Boot starter security to implement the security. Then for using the JWT token or JSON Web Token, we need to use these other dependencies: JSON Web Token, API, JWT IMPL, and the JWT JSON. So these are the dependencies we need to add over here just to use the JWT into our application. Next we have to create one filter, like whenever we are, this filter basically will execute it if we open the security configurations over here. Okay, so if you see that this actually I have implemented in my movie application, movie booking system, so you can follow this one where already I am defining. So if this is basically this do login, then it's permitting all. After that, in later on I will update those APIs, but for the time being I'm not updating this one. Okay, if it is API or do login, then it will actually allow to execute that particular API. Other than this, if we want to execute any other path, then it will basically need to authenticate it. And over here you can see we have provided the authenticate provider, which is basically this provider is added, and the auth filter. Okay, so now this auth filter, if we see here, basically once the request is received, from the header we need to check that particular token is having the BRR token or not. From the BRR token or header, basically we need to extract the token, and from the token we need to extract the username. And over here after that we need to check that particular username is found over here or not. Okay, and then we are just doing kind of validations over here. Now over here if you see this login controller over here, I have just added this one authentication, and here we have passing this username and the password. If it is true, then we are just generating the token. So here we have created these JWT services. Here we need to pass this secret and the other following things. It actually taken care all the things like creating the token, generate the token, validate token, extract the expiration, and all the informations over here. After that we need to defining the what kind of secret it is. It is a base 64. Okay, These are the things we need to provide over here, and then it will basically generate the token, and we are just returning in the response. So this is the actually things that we need to think, means we need to cover over here. And here we are checking that particularly user is available or not. If user is not available, then it's basically return this exception. Okay, and this is this user info details. It's implement this one. Once we implement this, then we need to override these methods over here. So this is just like briefly introductions about this implementing the JWT token. If we start this application over here, then once we will access this API, then it will generate the token for us. So I'm not going to the detail of it because I've already do tutorial related to the JWT token. If you need the more details or need to understand the more about it, please follow that channel tutorial. Okay, next basically we will talk about the from the front-end application like Angular. From the Angular side, we need to like once this particular token is received, then we need to like we need to store those token into somewhere in the local storage as we discussed, and we will use this token in the later on. So now we will check the application got started over here. You can see that application got started in 880 port. Okay, means the backend is ready now. And here if you see the database, the user, there is one data over there. Okay, now here we are going to basically we need to implement the login or the local storage service over here. So for that we need to create one service layer, service ng generate service, then here basically local storage. Okay, ng generate service under services folder. Okay, okay, I need to use this CMD over here. Okay, it will create this local storage service over here. Once it will generate, we can see over here that it got generated. You can see this this service got created over here. Okay, so now basically over here what we are going to do, we are just going to create some methods which will like set the key and value pair, set, get and the remove. These three things we need to keep over here. Like this set, it will basically store the data into the local storage. It will, for getting the keys from the local storage, we need to pass that key. Based on these keys we need to fetch the details, and it will basically remove the items from the local storage. Now we need to create one guard. So for that, like we need to create one guard. Let me close all the things over here first of all. Okay, now here whenever we are going to call the login basically, so we need to basically what we are going to do, like we need to in the successfully response basically we need to store that particular key into the storage. So for that we need to add this storage over here. So let us use this service over here. We need to inject this service, local storage service. Okay, and then based on this storage we need to save the data over here. Means once we are going to get the receipt, then the key is auth-key and the response.token. In case of any error, we are going to remove the auth key. So for that we need to use that this dot storage dot remove, and here we need to pass the key. Okay, So this is done. Do login. Okay, so now we can start this application, and we can like ng serve. We can see that application is starting fine or not. It will take some time to build and start this application. After that, basically we are going to focus on the like how we are going to protect that application using the auth guard that we will create. One guard we will create, and then accordingly like okay, building is done. Now if we see from the portal here, why it is not starting? Yeah, so now if we using some username and password, then basically it's showing that 403 means forbidden, means it's not allowing us to actually means we have provided some invalid user, so that's why it's actually not allowing us to allow us to log in into the detail, because we are getting the 403. Okay, if you see over here, it's trying to fetch the data from the database, but that particular user is not available into the database. So now if we see with the proper or test and the proper user which is actually available into the database, now you can see what it's saying, 403. Okay, so we need to give the proper username and password. Now you can see that 201 we are getting. Okay, and also it's received the response. This is the response key. Actually this token actually got generated from the backend. This is a JWT token. Okay, this token actually is returned from this over here. We are setting this token. Okay, this token is returned and this dashboard is worked. Okay, now basically we are going to generate the guard one. So how we are going to generate the guard over here? So for that, ng generate guard, and then what kind of guard or class name that we need to define. So let me close this one. Then here we need to use this command, ng generate guard. Guards means under the folder of the guards we need to generate the auth guard. So here we need to write some logic like can activate. There are certain things that we need to use over here. You can see these are the things: can activate child, can deactivate, can match. So these are the things we need to generate. Here we need to choose only, means minimum one. Here we need to choose the can activate, then it's basically generate. So under the guards over here you can see this is ready. I just need to modify this one, okay, because I need to create the class instead of the constant over here. So let me modify it little bit. Here we need to use this injectable, and then can activate. Okay, auth guard. It's basically it need to implement the can activate. Okay, so here now we need to use this can activate. So here we need to also like rectify this method over here. We don't need all the things for the time being. Okay, now here we need to create this another method, this check auth, which will basically checking the things. And under this constructor basically we need to use this. Here we need to create one constructor, and here we need to defining those local storage service. Like now I will explain that what I'm done over here. So here basically can activate method will be getting called, and here we are doing this check auth. So what it will do, it will check that, it will basically trying to get the data. If that particular data is available, then it will basically return the true. If not available, then it will directly navigate to the login page, right? So it's done now. Now to implement this one, what we are going to do, basically we need to add this into the routing, like over here. So how we are going to add the guard? Like after the login, basically this particular path, without login we are not able to proceed, right? So here we need to defining this can activate this path, okay, and here we need to defining this auth guard, so that it will check every time. This will be only activated if the login is successful, means if this auth service, if it is able to get the data. Now here I just need to do some kind of modification over here. Like once this login is button is clicked, basically let's say after the login, maybe there is a possible that it's a successful login or maybe not. So in case of the failure, it's basically removing the auth key. So before that also I am doing the removing the auth key, okay. Now let's start this application. So this auth key, actually it will also means without login we are not able to going into any other path. It will actually restricted to going into the another sub pages which are basically secure, means after the login we are allowing to do that, then actually it's working, okay. Okay, now here suppose I am trying to go to the dashboard page, then it's not basically allowing, it redirected to the login page directly, because we have implemented that auth guard, means dashboard only we are going to go if the login is done successfully. So here we need to provide the username and password. After that we are easily moved into the dashboard page, and here also auth key getting generated. So this is the like overall things that how we are going to like generate the JWT token, and how we are going to use into our Angular application, and also explain the things that how we are going to like secure the applications by using this secure the application as well secure the Angular routing path by this auth guard. So this is the things, overall things, basically that how we can doing the things. So we have used this local storage for storing the token into the page over here. This login local storage service basically inject into the application module, and here we have set, get, and the removed, we have provided those method. And this also we have used this auth guard so that we can secure the part, means before login it's not allow those things. So this is the things all about that how we are going to do this kind of, we are going to integrate this JWT token into the Angular applications. If you guys have anything, please do let me know in the comment section. I will update this code into the GitHub section and also share the GitHub link into the description section. Don't forget to subscribe my channel. Please press the bell icon for further notification. Thanks for your time. See you in my next videos. Bye bye.